On October 12th at 9:30 a.m., Ukrainian spotters up front noticed enemy movement across the frozen fields near Avdiivka. Radio talks picked up quickly as scout drones confirmed what the ground troops already worried about: a big attack was coming soon. In less than 60 seconds, one Russian T-90M tank, the best in Moscow's military, costing over $5 million, each gets burned to nothing by a homemade Ukrainian drone worth just a few $1,000s. And this isn't some accident. Reports show Russia has lost more than 100 of these so-called unbeatable machines since the invasion started, with dozens destroyed by drones alone in 2025, turning battlefields into graveyards of crushed metal and broken hopes. Videos of the turret flying off like a champagne cork fill social media, going viral and showing a hard truth. Expensive weapons are falling apart against cheap smart tech. These videos from front lines in Donetsk and Zaporizhzhia show the chaos. Smoke, rising flames shooting up as a once powerful machine becomes a burning mess, showing how raw power is getting beaten by speed and creativity. But look closer and a bigger question appears. Is this just a bad day on the battlefield, or the start of the end for tanks as we know them? This story shows why this fight is forcing military experts worldwide to rewrite the rules of modern warfare, where speed and brains beat steel and size. Stay with us to see how one explosive moment could change global conflicts forever. Russia started a bold counterattack along the Donetsk front lines, sending groups of T-90M Proryv tanks to lead the push, while BMP-3 infantry carriers and Grad rocket launchers gave backup fire. This move tried to break through Ukrainian defenses and take back important ground lost during the summer months. Leaders in Moscow saw the operation as a chance to break the ongoing deadlock that had lasted too long. The T-90M units moved out at dawn under heavy fire from the Grad systems, which shot rockets ahead to weaken enemy positions and clear a path forward. Smoke rose thick from the hits, mixing with the morning fog, and the tanks moved in tight groups, their tracks tearing up the muddy ground as they got closer to the first line of defenses. These armored vehicles, promoted heavily by Russian media as almost unstoppable, had reactive armor panels that exploded outward to stop incoming attacks, and Shtora-1 jammers built to confuse guided missiles. Crews inside felt sure as the machines rolled ahead, their main guns turning to look for targets, while the BMP-3s followed close, ready to drop off troops if needed. The plan depended on speed and massive force. The T-90M moved fast across open fields, avoiding craters from earlier shelling, and their advanced scopes spotted distant bunkers through the smoke. Artillery kept hitting the area, throwing dirt and debris everywhere, which made Ukrainian spotters take cover and slowed their early responses. As the lead T-90M reached a key ridge, its turret turned smoothly to fire a shot that destroyed a concrete wall opening the way for the group behind. BMP-3 moved to the sides, their lighter armor letting them turn faster, and they fired machine gun bursts to stop any movement in the trenches ahead. The Grad launchers reloaded in the back, firing another wave that lit up the sky with trails of fire and pounded the distance with explosions. This organized attack built speed quickly. The tanks pushed deeper into contested areas, their engines roaring over the noise of battle. And for a short time, it looked like the breakthrough might work without much pushback. Russian planners had picked this area carefully, knowing the ground offered some protection from air threats. Yet the real advantage came from the T-90M's upgrades, including better heat imaging that cut through dust clouds to find hidden enemies. One vehicle aimed at a suspected anti-tank position, its cannon firing and sending shockwaves across the field, which scared wildlife and shook nearby trees. The BMP-3s kept up their hatches open for soldiers to look with binoculars, making sure no surprise attacks from the sides stopped the advance. Meanwhile, Grad rockets changed their aim based on radio calls from the front covering approach routes to stop counter moves and keep pressure on the defenders. This attack happened amid bigger tensions in the area where control of Donetsk's highways meant supply lines could change dramatically. Taking these spots would cut off Ukrainian reinforcements and force a pullback from nearby hills. The T-90M group split slightly to cover more ground, with some units turning toward a village edge while others stayed in the center. Their combined firepower creating a wall of destruction that echoed through the valleys. Dust settled from the attacks, showing damaged earth, and the vehicles kept going, their shapes getting bigger against the rising sun as they got near the heart of the enemy setup. Ukrainian forces pulled back on purpose to their trench lines, staying away from direct fights and letting the T-90M tanks roll deeper into dangerous zones where attacks could hurt most. This smart pullback gave defenders time to regroup, while the advancing armor exposed itself more with every meter forward. Soldiers stayed low in dugouts built up with sandbags and logs, their eyes watching the distance as Russian vehicles got closer amid the sound of engines and far explosions. Spotters sent updates through secure channels, making sure everyone stayed ready without wasting bullets on rushed shots. The pullback created a gap that turned the open ground into a trap, pulling the attackers farther from their support lines and closer to hidden threats. Anti-tank teams fired Stugna P missiles from hidden spots, yet the rounds bounced off the explosive reactive armor on the T-90M hulls, exploding harmlessly and leaving the machines untouched. NLAW launchers joined the effort from high positions, sending projectiles flying through the air, but those also failed to break through the protective barriers that destroyed incoming warheads on contact. Defenders watched as the tanks shook off the hits and kept moving forward, their turrets turning to fire back that tore into empty foxholes and scattered dirt clouds. This early resistance tested the enemy's defenses without using full strength, letting Ukrainian units see how far the armor could move before weaknesses showed. Leaders noticed the pattern, quickly changing plans to hold fire until better chances came. Watch posts kept constant watch from higher ground, connecting with scout drones that flew above the fight and sent real-time info through the Link 16 network for smooth coordination. These flying units circled quietly at safe heights, their cameras recording every move of the Russian column as it traveled rough spots and avoided clear obstacles. Ground teams got updates on screens in their bunkers, tracking the tanks' paths and finding weak angles for later attacks. This setup kept the defense connected across the area, turning separated groups into a united front that could respond together. The drone feeds showed BMP-3s following behind, exposed if separated, and helped find where the Grad attacks had missed key areas. Defenders understood clearly that raw firepower alone would not stop the tanks, but their own rush in charging ahead might seal their fate by stretching supply chains thin and cutting off units from quick help. This understanding shaped the entire response, focusing on patience rather than panic. As the armor pushed more deeply into the assault troops, whispered encouragement in the trenches, holding weapons tightly while waiting for signals to use precise counters. The plan built tension across the line, with everyone knowing that pulling the enemy inward would flip the advantage and turn speed against the invaders. As minutes passed, the Ukrainian positions grew quieter, hiding the buildup of forces ready to act when the moment came. This silent trap depended on discipline, learned from hard lessons, making sure the pullback served as bait rather than weakness. A Ukrainian FPV drone team waited inside the thick forest. each unmanned vehicle loaded with several pounds of explosives and controlled by live video feeds from operators hidden nearby. This ambush setup let the team watch the battlefield without showing their position, as the small machines stayed off until the perfect target showed up. Operators adjusted controls from portable screens, their fingers tense on joysticks while looking for the lead T-90M that had pushed farthest ahead. The forest gave natural cover with thick plants blocking radar signals, and the team timed their launch to match with the tank's separation from its escorts. As the armored beast rolled closer, the first drone came to life quietly, its propellers spinning softly before it lifted off and shot toward the open field. The first drone flew low over the ground to avoid being spotted moving through scattered wreckage and burnt vehicles until it locked onto the T-90M's back section, where the engine worked vulnerably. On impact, the blast tore into the power area, sending flames shooting out from vents and thick smoke pouring into the air. Yet the huge machine moved forward unevenly without stopping completely. Crew members inside felt the hit shake the hull, their instruments blinking as systems tried to keep working, but the tank's speed carried it forward through the smoke. Ukrainian spotters celebrated silently from far away, noting how the hit slowed the advance and created confusion among following units. This exact strike used the design's weak back protection, forcing the vehicle to show more of its sides as it tried to stay on course amid rising heat. Moments later, the second drone flew from the tree line at high speed, angling sharply toward the turret side, where the autoloader held rows of shells ready for firing. The device dove into the weak spot with perfect accuracy, exploding against the ammunition storage and starting a fierce internal fire that spread fast through tight spaces. Yells echoed inside the cabin as temperatures shot up, but escape proved impossible amid the chaos of melting wires and broken hatches. The explosion grew in strength with extra blasts from stored rounds, making the destruction worse and throwing metal pieces into the sky. Defenders watched the scene happen through binoculars, the once powerful tank now breaking under pressure as its structure bent from within. In under 30 seconds, the expensive T-90M turned into a smoking pile of twisted steel, its frame covered in roaring flames that lit up the area around it and sent bitter smoke rolling across the landscape. The quick sequence left no room for recovery, with the vehicle's advanced features beaten by the simple yet deadly attack from above. Ukrainian forces took the moment to press their advantage, their spirits lifted by the sight of the wreck that showed a change in control. This fast takedown showed how flexible tactics could destroy heavy machinery, turning a possible breakthrough into a costly loss for the attackers. The forest edge stayed calm after the launches, with operators packing up gear quickly to move before payback arrived. The crew of the T-90M had no chance to escape the fire, and Russian soldiers following behind lost their key vehicle, making the entire group break apart in confusion. Flames shot high from the wreckage, lighting up the field and forcing nearby troops to run. As shrapnel fell down, the lead tank's sudden stop created a jam, with BMP-3 carriers hitting their brakes and showing their sides to incoming fire from hidden positions. Chaos spread quickly through the ranks as leaders yelled orders over radios that crackled with static, but the loss of the main weapon left infantry exposed without cover. Smoke from the burning hull mixed with dust kicked up by pulling back feet, turning the advance into a desperate pullback that left equipment scattered across the dirt. Ukrainian troops started a fast counterstrike, rushing from their trenches to take back lost ground, and grabbed the destroyed tank as proof of their victory. Infantry teams moved in waves under mortar support, their boots hitting the earth while they fired rifles at running figures. The push took back key dugouts within minutes, with defenders putting flags on recaptured spots and pulling away usable gear from left-behind packs. Medics helped with minor wounds, amid the rush making sure the speed stayed strong as units worked together via hand signals to surround remaining threats. This quick change turned the tide, letting Ukraine strengthen their line and prepare for any follow-up tries from the enemy side. The event gave a severe mental blow to Russian units, with reports showing that many soldiers refused to get in similar vehicles in the days that followed. Whispers of fear spread through camps as survivors told the horror of watching friends disappear in a fireball breaking trust in the machinery they once counted on. Morale dropped sharply across the area, leading to careful patrols and delayed operations that gave opponents more breathing room. Leaders tried to rally their men, offering promises that fell flat against the clear memory of the blast, and this hesitation weakened overall unity in the field. Military watchers from NATO called this fight a turning point for Russia's armored strategy, pointing out how traditional heavy reliance failed against flexible enemies. Analysts mentioned the flaws in depending on sheer mass, as the event showed the need for better combining of air defenses and infantry screens. Talks and alliance briefings stressed lessons for future training, pushing for a rethink of tactics that put quantity over flexibility. This view spread through channels affecting how Western forces viewed similar conflicts and causing reviews of their own strategies to avoid such problems. The chain reaction went beyond the immediate fight as Ukrainian leaders used the gap to strengthen nearby hills and set up new watch points. Reinforcements came quietly under cover of the night, boosting the front with fresh supplies that made sure continued pressure. Russian tries to regroup failed amid low spirits, with vehicles left unused in back areas, while crews talked about risks. The overall situation shifted toward defense for the attackers, letting Ukraine control the pace and turn a single destruction into a wider loss. Watchers noted the ripple effects on supply routes as stopped convoys slowed resupply efforts and strained logistics further down the line. This changing situation showed toughness on one side and weakness on the other, shaping the story of lasting power in long fights. FPV drones costing just $2,000 to $3,000 can destroy tanks worth millions, creating a cost gap of $1,000 to $2,000 that changes the game on modern battles. This huge difference shows how cheap tech now wins over expensive hardware on the front lines. Operators build these small machines in workshops, fitting them with basic cameras and explosives that hit weak spots exactly. In the heat of fights, such tools fly in fast and hit hard, turning expensive assets into junk without huge spending. Ukrainian teams have perfected this method, using everyday parts to build groups that swarm and attack, making each mission a smart choice against heavy odds. The change marks a new time where budget plays second to brains, letting smaller forces hit above their weight and challenge big armies head-on. The main flaw in Russian tanks comes from their autoloader setup, which stores all ammo right under the crew and turns every vehicle into a moving bomb ready to explode. This design choice packs shells in a tight ring below the turret, so any solid hit starts chain reactions that tear through the inside. Flames spread fast from the storage area, melting controls and trapping people in a hot box with no easy way out. Defenders spot this weakness from far away, aiming attacks to light the load and watch the machine self-destruct in seconds. Crews feel the buildup as heat rises and systems fail, but the tight space leaves little room to react before everything explodes. This built-in risk comes from old plans that liked compact builds over safety, leaving modern versions open to simple threats that use the layout. Leopard 2 and Abrams models separate ammo storage with extra armor plates, giving crews a chance at survival even after tough hits. These Western designs put rounds in back areas behind blast doors, so explosions vent outward and save the people inside. Hits land hard, but often let operators get out and fight another day, keeping units working longer. Thick layers protect vital parts, taking shocks that would ruin other builds. And this setup boosts confidence on risky pushes. Soldiers in these rides know the gear protects them, allowing bolder moves without constant fear of total loss. The focus on protection comes from lessons in crew value, making each tank a tough target that holds up under fire and keeps the push going. Russia pays a big price for its strategy of cheap fast and plenty, in an age where data streams and drones make the calls on the field. This old way of thinking makes light vehicles in bulk for quick swarms, but they fall apart against smart eyes in the sky that track and target flaws. Battlefields now pulse with info from overhead scouts feeding attacks that move faster than ground speed and beat numbers. Moscow's push for volume leaves gaps in defense as rushed builds skip key shields and invite easy kills from above. Ukraine adapts by mixing tech with toughness, turning data into deadly hits that wear down the enemy's edge. The fight shows a tipping point where endless supply meets endless smarts, and the side with better info wins the day. Global watchers see this as a wake-up call, pushing for changes toward mixed forces that combine old steel with new tools to stay ahead. The destruction of the T-90M didn't just burn through steel. It burned through Russia's faith in traditional, mechanized warfare. A $2,000 drone tearing apart a $5 million tank has become the image of a new time, where brains defeat bulk and speed beats armor. What once showed power, noise, size, and metal now gives way to silence, accuracy, and code. Ukraine's use of low-cost FPV drones has redrawn the rules of combat. Battles are no longer decided by how many tanks a nation builds, but by how fast its soldiers can see, think, and strike. The war has proven that in a world ruled by sensors and signals, data is deadlier than any shell. But this victory also opens a bigger question. If cheap drones can crush a tank column today, what happens tomorrow when AI learns to fight without humans at the controls? Will the battlefield belong to machines that pick their own targets, or to leaders who learn how to control them first? Drop your thoughts below. Has the age of tanks truly ended? Or are they waiting to come back under a new design? For more clear maps, sharp analysis, and breaking frontline stories, like, share, and subscribe to our channel.